I woke up to the taste of mold and despair. My new life, if you could even call it that, started in a forgotten corner of the Imperial Palace, a low-level attendant in the so-called exile wing. The only thing of value I had to my name was half of a stale, moldy bread roll. Seriously? I muttered, staring at the pathetic lump in my hand. This is some kind of sick joke, right? Ding! Detecting strong will TO survive. The Spill the Tea system has successfully bound TO host. A cold, robotic voice exploded in my head. I froze. Then a wave of pure elation washed over me. A system. The classic perk of getting zapped into another world. System. Let's go. What's in the newbie starter pack? Superpowers? A secret martial arts manual? A magic pill? Nebby starter pack. Moldy bread roll plus set. Another rock-hard, equally moldy roll materialized out of thin air and fell into my lap. My face went slack. That's it? The Spill the Tea system? What tea am I supposed to spill with this? The expiration date. This system specializes in uncovering the most hidden, explosive gossip from across all worlds. When a host is in proximity to a target, the system will passively acquire their juiciest secrets. Successful reveals result in random rewards. Current detection range, 30-foot radius. My eyes started to twitch. Uncovering gossip? Random rewards? This whole thing felt like a cosmic prank. I was about to fire back a sarcastic comment when a wave of dizziness hit me. Countless, jumbled pieces of information flooded my brain, buzzing like a million angry flies. Warning! Warning! System core encountering unknown interference. Malfunctioning. BZZT. Passive gossip gathering skill undergoing uncontrolled mutation. BZZT. Skill correction. Correction failed. Final skill form. Thoughts broadcast forced. Note: the host's unfiltered internal commentary will bypass all distance and barrier restrictions and be transmitted directly into the ears of all Empress-level targets within a 30-foot radius. I went completely numb. Thoughts broadcast, delivered directly to the Empress? This wasn't a gossip system. It was a high-speed suicide machine. I'd only been here a day, but I'd already heard the rumors about the current ruler, Empress Catherine Thorne. They said she was brilliant, ruthless, and, above all, hated loose talk and gossip more than anything. I was screwed. My vision went dark. A cold chill ran down my spine. This exile wing wasn't just my new home. It was probably going to be my grave. In the grand chamber, the dragon throne sat high and imposing. Empress Catherine Thorne, dressed in a severe, black imperial gown, was a vision of glacial beauty. Her gaze swept over the silent government officials and military brass assembled below her. The pressure in the room was suffocating. A blizzard in the northern territories has left 100,000 displaced. What are your proposals for disaster relief? Her voice wasn't loud, but it landed with the weight of a hammer on every person present. The hall was dead silent. The elderly Secretary of State, Miles Thompson, shuffled forward, his movements frail. He was a veteran of 3 administrations, his hair white as snow. Your Majesty, I believe we must allocate funds from the National Treasury. He never finished the sentence. A sudden, sharp gust of wind blasted through the solemn hall. Whoosh! The wind was vicious. It zeroed in on the Secretary's head, lifting the ceremonial cap that signified his rank. More precisely, it also blew away the jet black, perfectly coiffed toupee. A few sparse, wispy white hairs, stubbornly combed over from one side, were suddenly exposed to the world. They fluttered pathetically in the draft, revealing a vast, gleaming expanse of scalp. You could have heard a pin drop. Every other official in the room stared intently at their own shoes, but their shoulders were shaking suspiciously. Empress Catherine sat on her throne, her expression unmoving. She was fighting with every fiber of her being to maintain her imperial dignity. But right then, a crystal-clear young man's voice, brimming with shocked, barely suppressed laughter, exploded in her mind. Holy crap. The old cul-de-sac. And he's rocking the desperate comb-over. Ha ha ha. Mr. Secretary, that hairstyle is an act of pure rebellion. That voice. Catherine's eyes narrowed instantly. Who would dare be so insolent? Her gaze shot like lightning across the assembled officials. Every single one was silent, head bowed. No one had spoken, but the voice was real. It was right there inside her head. Pfft. Look at those last few hairs fluttering, like a candle in the wind. So stubborn. It's killing me. The voice came again, giddy with unrestrained glee. Catherine's lips twitched, threatening to curl into a smile. She bit down hard on the inside of her lip, the sharp tang of copper filling her mouth. No, I can't laugh. I am the Empress. The dignified Empress, her hand, resting on the arm of the throne, clenched into a fist. Her nails dug deep in her palm, but her body, fighting a losing battle against the laughter, began to tremble. The wide sleeve of her gown shook with the tiny, violent tremors. Down below, the Secretary of State was frantically trying to slap his toupee back into place, his face the color of a boiled lobster. He happened to glance up and saw the Empress. Trembling? Her very sleeves were shaking. A bolt of pure terror shot through him. It's over. The Empress is shaking with rage. My incompetence has driven her to this. Your Majesty, please calm your anger. This old servant. Thompson dropped to his knees with a thud, his voice cracking. Catherine took a deep breath, forcing down the tickle in her throat and the insane urge to burst out laughing. She didn't dare speak, afraid a guffaw would escape. She managed to squeeze out a few frigid words through clenched teeth. Mr. Secretary, you are advanced in years. A lapse in decorum is understandable. You may step back. Thank you, Your Majesty. Thank you for your grace. Thompson scrambled back into line as if he'd been granted a presidential pardon, one hand clamped firmly on top of his head. Catherine struggled to compose herself, her mind reeling. That voice! Whose was it? That shameless inner thought had nearly shattered her imperial composure. Her cold gaze swept the hall once more, a flicker of something new and entirely unwelcome in her eyes. Curiosity. 3 days later, in the Rose Hall, the air was thick with perfume and nervous energy. The new selection ceremony for the ladies-in-waiting was underway. The Dowager Empress Eleanor, Catherine's mother, presided. She was impeccably preserved, still beautiful, but looked bored out of her mind, letting out a delicate cough every now and then. Empress Catherine sat to her left, expressionless. To her right, her younger sister, Princess Isabel Thorne, clad in a fiery red dress, idly inspected her perfectly manicured nails. In the center of the hall, rows of impeccably dressed young women presented themselves one by one. The Dowager was about to doze off. Catherine's mind was clearly elsewhere, waiting for that audacious inner voice. Isabel let out a full-blown yawn. Just then, a slender figure in a low-ranking attendant's uniform, who had been trying to merge with a pillar in the corner, was jostled forward by a new group of candidates. It was me. I'd been grabbed by a supervisor to be extra help for the ceremony. My soul was screaming. This is a nightmare. If the Empress sees, I haven't starved to death yet. I kept my head down, trying to become invisible, but my eyes couldn't help but drift to the candidates walking past. Geez, that one's wearing more foundation than a construction site. If she smiles, it'll crack and fall off. Wow, tiny waist. But why does she walk like a penguin? Nerves, I guess. The commentary, crisp and clear, landed directly in the minds of the three powerful women on the dais. The Dowager Empress's bored expression twitched. A flicker of light appeared in her tired eyes. Empress Catherine, raising a cup of tea, paused. A look of understanding crossed her face. So it is him, the little attendant from the exile wing. Princess Isabel stopped playing with her nails. She shot a sharp, sudden glare toward the corner of the hall, searching for the source of the voice, a mix of confusion and irritation on her face. I didn't notice a thing. My attention was now fixed on a candidate who had just walked to the center of the room. She was tall, a full head above the others. Her physique was a bit athletic. Her face, however, was stunningly beautiful, but maybe the jawline was a little too sharp. Wait a second. My inner voice suddenly shot up an octave, filled with pure shock. Holy crap, is that an Adam's apple? It's faint, but it's there. That's a dude in a dress. My man. The thought hit the three women like a thunderbolt. The Dowager Empress had just lifted her teacup to her lips. PFFFFFD. A mouthful of hot tea erupted from her mouth without warning. It flew in a perfect arc, landing squarely on Empress Catherine. The front of her dark imperial gown was instantly soaked. A few green tea leaves clung to the fabric. The Rose Hall fell into a deathly silence. Every candidate, every servant, was frozen in shock. Princess Isabel's jaw dropped. Catherine slowly looked down at her dripping, tea-stained dress. A vein in her temple began to throb. A chilling aura started to radiate from her. The dowager fumbled for a handkerchief, her face a mask of embarrassment and shock. She pointed a trembling finger at the beautiful candidate in the center of the hall. You, raise your head and look at me. The tall candidate flinched and lifted her head. On her pale neck, a slight but undeniable bulge. An Adam's apple. In the bright light of the hall, there was no hiding it. A collective gasp went through the room. Hiding behind my pillar, my inner monologue was still going wild. See, I told you. Bro, you got guts. Sneaking into the palace selection ceremony? Aiming high, I like it. Though, looks like your belt is loose. Hey, buddy, your chest wrap is about to give up the ghost. Hold it together. The candidate seemed to feel something was wrong and instinctively glanced down at his waist. His face went chalk white. The cold aura emanating from Catherine was now practically visible. She slammed her hand down on the armrest, her voice like shards of ice. Guards, seize him. Soldiers rushed forward like wolves, dragging the terrified, now collapsed imposter away. The atmosphere in the hall was sub-zero. The dowager held her handkerchief, not knowing whether to try and wipe the Empress or not, her face turning from red to white and back again. Catherine stood up, the wet gown clinging to her body. She didn't even look at her mother. Her icy gaze, like a physical spear, shot across the room and pinned me, the little attendant trying to shrink into a puddle behind a pillar. I felt a chill shoot from the top of my head to the tips of my toes. My blood ran cold. It's over, it's over, it's over. She's giving me the death stare. System, I hate you. Catherine stared at me, a terrifyingly cold, yet strangely intrigued, smile playing on her lips. You, she said, her voice quiet but making everyone's skin crawl, come with me. In a private study in the solar wing. The scent of incense did little to dispel the crushing pressure in the room. I was kneeling on the cold, polished marble floor, my head bowed, so low I wished I could melt through the stone. Empress Catherine had changed out of her wet clothes and was now in a simple gown, sitting behind her massive desk, methodically signing documents. The silence was terrifying, broken only by the scratch of her pen on paper. Every stroke felt like it was scraping against my heart. Just get it over with, Your Majesty. Kill me, torture me, whatever. This slow burn horror is way worse. I'm sorry. I'll never spill any more tea. I swear. Just let me go back to the exile wing and eat my moldy bread. The desperate, whining plea echoed in Catherine's mind. Her pen stopped. A small blot of red ink spread on the document. She looked up, her gaze falling on the trembling little attendant below. Name. Her voice was flat. Leo. Leo Foster, servant. My voice trembled. From the exile wing. Yes. How did you survive there? Gnawing on the walls, and sometimes the guard dogs left scraps. I decided to lean into the misery, hoping for pity. Actually, yesterday, I skimmed some stuff from the kitchen garbage. Ugh, don't think about it. Catherine's mouth twitched almost imperceptibly. She put down her pen. Look up. I shakily raised my head. My face was decent enough, I guess, but pale and thin from hunger. My eyes were filled with a mixture of terror and a weird sort of resignation. Today, in the Rose Hall, Catherine's voice was unreadable. What did you see? This was it. The final question. My scalp prickled. I saw a guy in dress. I saw the dowager spit tea. I saw you get a free shower. Can I say that? If I say that, I'm getting dragged out and beheaded. No question. Cold sweat dripped down my back. I stammered, servant. Servant didn't see anything. I was dozing off at the time. That's it. I was asleep. Sleepwalking. Your Majesty, you have to believe me. Catherine looked at my pathetic, transparent attempt at a lie, listening to the frantic, screaming survival instinct in my head. The laughter she had been suppressing all day was finally starting to bubble over. She picked up her tea, using the rising steam to hide the smile that was finally breaking through. Dozing off, her voice held a trace of amusement. A deep sleep? Huh, I blinked. That tone. That's weird. That doesn't sound like off with his head anger. If you're sleeping in the exile wing, and you're sleeping in the Rose Hall, Catherine said, setting down her cup, it seems my palace is far too comfortable for you. My blood ran cold. Game over. She's tallying up my sins. From this day forward, Catherine's voice left no room for argument. You will remain here in the solar wing. As my personal attendant, I was completely floored. I looked up, gaping at the impossibly beautiful, cold face behind the desk. What? The solar wing? Personal attendant? Like right next to her? Are you serious, Your Majesty? Aren't you afraid I'm going to drop another thought bomb one day? Or are you keeping me under your thumb so you can chop my head off whenever you feel like it? Catherine ignored the chaotic symphony of panic in my head. Well, are you unwilling? She asked, raising an eyebrow. The pressure in the room instantly intensified. Willing. I am willing. Thank you for your grace, Your Majesty. I will serve you with all my heart. I scrambled to kowtow, banging my forehead on the floor. But inside, I was screaming, like I have a choice? Gotta stay alive. Just survive for now. Personal attendant it is. For now on, I'll keep the tea to myself. I'll swallow it until I explode before I let another thought out. A fleeting, almost invisible smile crossed Catherine's lips. She picked up her pen again. Go wait outside. Yes, I'll take my leave. I practically crawled out of the room like I'd been pardoned from death row. The doors closed, cutting off the lively, noisy inner voice. Catherine stared at the blot of red ink on the document. Her fingers tapped lightly on the polished mahogany desk. A lowly attendant from the exile wing? Passive thought broadcasting? Exclusive to Empresses? Interesting. Suddenly, she had a feeling that this dull, tedious life in the palace was about to get a lot less boring. The news that Leo Foster, a condemned attendant from the exile wing, had become the Empress's personal attendant spread through the palace like wildfire. One day you're waiting to die. The next you've hit the jackpot. Countless eyes, filled with envy, jealousy, suspicion, and malice, were now fixed on the thin figure standing outside the solar wing study. I felt like I had 1,000 daggers pointed at my back. I did my best to be invisible, serving tea, grinding ink, laying out paper like a piece of sentient furniture. Inside, I was a wreck. I can't live like this. The Empress's aura is so intense. My knees get weak every time she's near, and all these glares, they look like they want to eat me alive. System, can't you just turn this stupid broadcast off? The system remained stubbornly silent. One afternoon, Empress Catherine was meeting with several high-ranking cabinet members to discuss military affairs in the Northern Territories. The mood was grim. Your Majesty, the Secretary of Defense said, his face etched with worry. The Northern tribes are attacking the border. General Vance is in a precarious situation. He sent 3 urgent requests for reinforcements and supplies. Catherine frowned, studying the dispatch in her hand. Northern tribes? General Vance? That name sounds familiar, I thought, standing quietly to the side with a teapot, trying to be wallpaper. My brain started sifting through the random bits of gossip my system had collected. The Secretary of Defense was still pleading his case. General Vance is fighting a bloody battle, but he can't hold out alone. Your Majesty must make a decision soon. General Vance? General Marcus Vance. My inner monologue paused, then lit up with recognition. Oh, I remember now. It's him. The thought landed clearly in Catherine's mind as she listened to the report. The pen in her hand faltered for a fraction of a second. She remained outwardly calm. Man, this guy's got it rough. Fighting off barbarian hordes on the front lines, while his own backyard is on fire. My inner voice had a distinct note of gleeful, gossipy pity. Catherine's eyebrow twitched almost imperceptibly. Didn't his brand new, 8th trophy wife just give him a pair of twins last month? The old guy's still got it. 60 years old and still producing heirs. Respect. I'm marveled internally. But the tea says that little wife has been getting a bit too friendly with the stable boy at the general's estate. At the 1-month celebration, the stable boy got drunk hugged the baby, and slurred, "My son looks just like his daddy." Is his tea fully brewed, or what? I was lost in the drama when, bang, a loud noise made everyone in the room jump. Princess Isabel, who had been sitting quietly beside the Empress, had just slammed her palm down on the small table in front of her. The force of the blow made the teacup rattle. Her beautiful, vibrant face was now a mask of cold fury. Her eyes, sharp as daggers, were fixed on the Secretary of Defense. No, wait, they were fixed on me, the confused attendant holding a teapot behind him. "Investigate." Isabel's voice was icy and filled with an undeniable rage. "I want an immediate investigation. Investigate General Marcus Vance's estate. Every woman in his household, especially that new wife of his, and the stable boy. I want it all turned upside down. I don't want a single detail missed." The order was absolute. The study fell silent. The cabinet members exchanged bewildered glances. The Secretary of Defense was completely lost. "Your Highness? But what does this have to do with the Northern campaign?" "Just do it," Isabel snapped, cutting him off. "I suspect treason. A fire in the backyard is the first sign." Treason? That was a heavy accusation. Cold sweat immediately beaded on the secretary's forehead. Yes, I'll see to it at once." He scrambled to his feet and retreated, utterly baffled. Isabel was still seething, her chest rising and falling. Her sharp gaze once again fell on me, the petrified, teapot-holding attendant. It was a look of scrutiny, suspicion, and a strange sort of fury, as if I'd just exposed a secret she wasn't supposed to know. "Why are you looking at me?" I didn't say anything out loud. I was just thinking it. "Your Highness, are your ears that good too?" Oh God, is every Empress-level woman in this palace some kind of mind reader? My mind was a chaotic mess of panic. Catherine saw it all. She put down her pen, picked up her teacup, and gently blew on the surface. The steam veiled the flicker of profound understanding in her eyes. Isabel heard it too. It seems this little attendant's thoughts are an equal opportunity broadcast, an attack that only hits Empress-level targets. She took a sip. Yes, today's tea was especially interesting. I was now the hot new topic in the solar wing, but my life was more stressful than ever. Princess Isabel's glare felt like it could skin me alive. I walked on eggshells every single day. This isn't a job. It's a torture session. "Empress, save me. The princess is going to eat me." The unfiltered plea reached Catherine's ears. She would occasionally glance up from her work at the terrified little bird across the room, a barely perceptible smile touching her lips. One day, the Empress went to the Serenity Wing to visit the ailing dowager. As her personal attendant, I had no choice but to tag along. The dowager's chambers smelled strongly of medicine. Dowager Empress Eleanor was lying in bed, pale and looking as fragile as a porcelain doll. "Mother, how are you feeling today?" Catherine asked, her tone neutral. "Cough, cough. Catherine, you're here." The dowager whispered, her voice barely audible. I'm the same as always. A tightness in my chest. No strength at all." She paused to catch her breath. "This palace is so full of toxic drama. It vexes my spirit. I find it better not to see any of it." "Toxic drama? Vexes your spirit?" Hiding in my corner, my inner monologue started up. The passive gossip skill kicked in. "Better not to see it? More like you want a front row seat without any of the hassle, right?" The thought registered with both the dowager on the bed and the Empress beside it. The dowager's closed eyelids fluttered. Catherine, who was being served a cup of ginseng tea, paused in her methodical skimming of the surface. "You should rest, Mother. I will handle the palace affairs." Alas, the dowager sighed dramatically. "You are so busy with matters of state, my dear. I just worry that some of those foolish concubines will stir up more trouble and bother you." "Worried it'll bother the Empress?" I rolled my eyes internally. "I think you're worried you'll be bothered. The tea says that yesterday, when those two consorts got into a catfight and fell into the garden pond, the servant you sent to check on them gave you a play-by-play. You were snacking on sunflower seeds the whole time, even rating which one of them looked more pathetic when they were soaking wet." The play-by-play landed with pinpoint accuracy. The dowager's hand, hidden under the blankets, clenched into a fist. Her breathing quickened. A suspicious flush crept up her cheeks. Catherine's hand stilled. She tilted her head slightly, her gaze sweeping over the bed. The dowager's eyelids were trembling violently now. Mother! Catherine's voice was unreadable. Huh? Cough. Cough, cough. The dowager suddenly erupted into a violent coughing fit, her face turning crimson. It's nothing. Just a sudden tightness in my chest. She coughed, holding a silk handkerchief to her mouth, her body shaking. Tightness? I think it's from holding and laughter. I continued my ruthless inner takedown. Your acting skills. Wow. The Academy owes you an Oscar. Faking an illness to dodge palace politics while secretly enjoying all the drama. Living the good life and still trying to pull off the tragic heroine act. Cough. Cough, cough, cough. This time, the dowager really did choke. A series of earth-shattering coughs echoed through the room. She clutched her chest, coughing so hard tears streamed from her eyes. Mother, Catherine said, putting down her tea, her voice laced with feigned concern. The nearby maids and attendants rushed forward in a panic. Your Majesty, are you all right? The physician. Summon the physician. The Serenity Wing exploded into chaos. I watched from my corner as the dowager coughed her lungs out, a little bit of fear creeping in. Seriously? I was just thinking it. Does my inner voice have that much power? Please don't actually cough yourself into the afterlife, Your Majesty. I can't take the blame for that. Cough. Get out. The dowager finally caught her breath, pointing a trembling finger at me. Her voice was hoarse with rage and humiliation. Get this. Cough. Little monster. Out of my sight. The maids immediately turned on me. I took it as my cue and scrambled for the door. Yes, ma'am. Leaving now. Take care of yourself, Your Majesty. Don't get too worked up, or you really will be sick. My helpful, parting thought shot back into the room. Crash! A jade pillow slammed against the door right after I closed it. The sound of shattering porcelain was followed by the dowager's furious and surprisingly powerful roar. This is outrageous. He has gone too far. Catherine, where did you find this little demon? Get him away from me. I never want to see him again. Her yelling was so loud it seemed to shake the roof tiles. There was no trace of a frail, sick woman in that voice. Catherine sat calmly by the bed, looking at her mother, who was now red-faced, full of life, and pounding the mattress, and then at the shattered pillow on the floor. She quietly picked up the now-cold cup of ginseng tea. Hiding behind it, a smile she could no longer contain finally escaped. Yes, this little attendant was certainly great entertainment. I was thrown out of the Serenity Wing, but at least I was alive. I knew, however, that I had made a powerful enemy in the Dowager Empress. My future looked bleak. It's over. The Dowager wants to tear me to pieces. Is the Empress going to hand me over to appease her mother? Oh, moldy bread rolls of the Exile Wing, how I miss you. I trudged back to my post outside the Solar Wing study, feeling like a wilted piece of lettuce. Inside, just as Empress Catherine was dismissing her ministers, Princess Isabel stormed in like a hurricane, her red dress a blur of motion. Catherine, she marched straight to the desk and slammed her hands down. That attendant, thou, give him to me. Catherine's pen hovered over a document, a drop of ink falling and blooming on the paper. She slowly looked up at her fiery sister. Give him to you? Her voice was flat. Yes, to me. Isabel lifted her chin. If you keep him here, Mother will eventually have him killed. My wing of the palace is secure. I can protect him. Protect me? Are you sure you don't just want to drag me back to your den and torture me for gossip? My terrified thought drifted in from outside. Isabel's eyebrow shot up, and she threw a glare toward the door. A ghost of a smile touched Catherine's lips. She put down her pen. And what would you do with him? Isabel faltered for a second before regaining her confidence. He's quick-witted. I need a quick-witted person on my staff. Quick-witted? Or a personal, walking, talking gossip column? My inner voice provided the unhelpful correction. A flash of annoyance crossed Isabel's face. Catherine, she said, using her sister's name with a demanding tone. Yes or no? Before Catherine could answer, an furious voice cut in from the doorway. No. The Dowager Empress Eleanor, looking anything but sick, stormed in, supported by a maid. Her face was burning with rage. She pointed a finger first at Catherine, then at Isabel. "Nobody is taking that little monster. Give him to me. I will personally discipline him." She spat the word discipline like a curse. "Discipline? You mean Barry, right? Your Majesty, have mercy." My inner monologue was a scream of pure terror. "Mother!" Isabel immediately turned on her. "Aren't you supposed to be sick? You should be resting. Let me handle this trivial matter for you." "Resting?" The dowager's voice rose. "How can I rest with that little pest around? He'll be the death of me. Catherine, give him to me. I promise I'll make sure he behaves." Catherine looked at her mother and sister, both ready to go to war over her new attendant. One wanted to protect him, the other to discipline him, but their goal was the same. They wanted the source of the entertainment. She calmly picked up a new document and dipped her pen in the inkwell. Catherine's voice was quiet but held the finality of a judge's gavel. "Is my personal attendant." She looked up, her gaze sweeping over both of them. "He's not going anywhere." One sentence. Case closed. The dowager and Isabel stared, stunned. "Catherine," the dowager stomped her foot. "Sister." Isabel pouted. Catherine ignored them, her focus returning to the document. Her pen moved, leaving a sharp, decisive approved on the page. The only sounds in the room were the scratching of the pen, and from outside the door, my tearful, relieved inner voice. "Empress Catherine, you are a queen, a legend, a goddess. Long may you reign. I know it's terrifying being around you, but it's 1,000 times better than being torn apart by the dowager or disciplined by the princess. I hereby declare that from this day forward, Empress Catherine is my one and only queen, my savior." The pen in Catherine's hand paused for a fraction of a second. A tiny, almost imperceptible smile melted the permanent frost in her eyes. Yes, this little entertainer was hers. Late spring, at the Imperial hunting grounds. Banners snapped in the wind, and horses whinnied with excitement. The annual spring hunt was underway. Empress Catherine, dressed in sleek black riding gear that highlighted her powerful, athletic frame, looked like a predator surveying her domain. Princess Isabel was beside her in fiery red, eager for the chase. The Dowager Empress sat under a grand canopy on a raised platform, fanning herself, a polite smile on her face, a smile that turned into a grimace whenever her eyes landed on me, standing in the shadows. I was miserable. Seriously? What am I, a lowly attendant, even doing at a hunting ground? Am I here to be served as an appetizer for the bears? This sun is brutal. And yeah, the Empress looks amazing drawing her bow. But can we please wrap this up? My thoughts, as usual, were delivered straight to the three of them. Catherine knocked an arrow, her movements fluid and strong, taking aim at a deer that had just bolted from the trees. Look at that form, that power. That's a bullseye for sure. My inner voice cheered with genuine admiration. The corner of Catherine's mouth curved slightly. She drew the bowstring taut. Twang! The arrow flew like a golden streak of lightning and slammed into a small tree about 10 feet to the left of the deer. The deer, startled, vanished into the woods. The entire hunting party fell silent. Everyone was stunned. The Empress missed? How was that even possible? Catherine's hand, still holding the bow, was frozen in midair. Her beautiful face was a mask of disbelief. She'd heard it. Just as she was about to release the arrow, that damn inner voice had piped up again. Huh? Did the Empress just tweak her back drawing the bow? Must have been from signing all those documents late last night. Being the ruler is tough on the lumbar. Tough on the lumbar. Tweak her back. The words echoed in her head, a demonic chant. Her concentration broke. Her arm shifted a fraction of an inch, and she missed. It was the most humiliating moment of her reign. In front of the entire imperial court, a hot flush crept up her neck, spreading to her ears. Puffed. Next to her, a strangled gasp of laughter escaped. Princess Isabel was covering her mouth, her shoulders shaking uncontrollably, her face turning red from the effort of holding it in. She had heard it too. On the platform, the Dowager Empress, who had just been raising a teacup, saw the shot go wide and heard my expert analysis. Cough, cough, cough. She sprayed a mouthful of tea all over the maid next to her and exploded into another world-ending coughing fit, half from choking, half from laughing. Mother! Isabel spurred her horse over, trying to help, but she was laughing too hard to be of any use. The atmosphere was bizarre. All the nobles and guards had their heads bowed, their shoulders trembling. The collective effort of not laughing was causing them physical pain. Only I, the source of the chaos, was still standing in the shadows, looking at the Empress's rigid back and the Dowager's coughing fit with a mix of confusion and terror. What happened? Why did the Empress miss? Why is the Dowager coughing like that again? Oh God, was it my thoughts again? It can't be. I wasn't even complaining this time. I was just concerned about her back. Concerned about her back. The thought echoed one last time. Catherine's knuckles, gripping the bow, were white. The flush on her face was darkening to a dangerous shade of crimson. She yanked her horse's reins, spinning it around. Her icy gaze shot past the chaotic platform and locked onto me, the innocent-looking little attendant in the shadows. I met that look, a look that promised a slow and painful death, and a jolt went through me. It's over. That's the death stare. I'm a dead man. My mind screamed. I instinctively tried to back away, deeper into the shadows. In my panic, my left foot tangled with my right. Whoa! With a pathetic yelp, I lost my balance and pitched forward, landing face first with a loud thwack on the wooden platform. A perfect 10 out of 10 faceplant. Time seemed to freeze. Everyone's attention was now on the small, crumpled figure on the ground. Silence. Catherine, still on her horse, stared at the pathetic sight of me, sprawled out on the floor. The fury on her face warred with something else. Finally, a tiny, almost inaudible sound escaped her lips. Huh. It was like flipping a switch. Ha ha ha. Princess Isabel was the first to break. She pointed at me, howling with laughter, tears streaming down her face. On the platform, the Dowager, who had just recovered, saw my epic fall and her daughter's twisted expression. Wahaha! Oh, cough! My stomach! Ha ha ha! She slapped the armrest, completely losing her imperial composure. The dam broke. The nobles, the guards, everyone who had been holding it in, exploded. Laughter, loud and unrestrained, swept across the hunting grounds. Only Empress Catherine remained on her horse, desperately clinging to the last shred of her dignity. But her hands, gripping the reins, were shaking, and her lips were fighting a losing battle against a smile. And me, the catalyst for it all, scrambled to my feet, covered in dust, my nose throbbing. I looked around at the laughing crowd, my heart filled with indignant sorrow. What's so funny? Is a guy falling on his face that hilarious? Have you no compassion? Empress, get them under control. Catherine finally lost the battle. She pulled on her reins, turning her horse away, her cape swirling dramatically, hiding the beautiful smile that had finally bloomed on her face. Only her voice, tight with forced composure, floated back on the wind. We are returning to the palace. The spring hunt was a resounding success, if you measured success in laughter. I was officially a palace celebrity, the court jester I never wanted to be. People would point and snicker wherever I went. I can't show my face in public. System, I will hate you for the rest of my life. Empress Catherine, however, seemed to be in a good mood. She decreed a night banquet in the imperial gardens to reward everyone. It was more like a collective apology for her missed shot. The gardens were lit with lanterns, music drifting through the air. Catherine sat at the head table, her usual cool demeanor restored, though her eyes would occasionally flick to me, standing behind her like a statue, with a hint of amusement. Princess Isabel was next to her, in high spirits. The Dowager was sick again, probably afraid she'd see me and have another laughing fit. The banquet was pleasant. Ministers made toasts and offered flattery. I stood silently, my mind a running commentary. That secretary on the left is bragging about his 3-year-old grandson writing poetry again. The T is his grandson peed on his face yesterday. General on the right is praising his wife's virtue. TSK, his wife is currently getting very friendly with his deputy in the back garden. Ooh, that dancer. The look she's giving the old duke. There's a story there. The stream of consciousness flowed directly into Catherine's and Isabel's minds. Catherine sipped her wine, expressionless. Isabel listened with rapt attention, her eyes sparkling. Halfway through the feast, servants brought out the main courses. It was my turn to serve the Empress and the Princess. I picked up the silver chopsticks, trying to be careful, my mind still wandering. Old Chef Zhang overdid it with this golden prosperity dish. Must have been sneaking sips of his private stash of wine again. This delicate custard soup. Something smells off. Just as my chopsticks were about to touch the translucent, shimmering soup, my inner monologue stopped dead. A thread of suspicion and alarm ran through it. Why does this smell faintly of drunken dream grass? The tea says that stuff comes from the southern jungles. It's colorless and odorless in food, but heat releases a faint, strange fragrance. A small dose makes you hallucinate. A large dose is lethal. The thought was a lightning bolt. Catherine and Isabel both froze. Catherine's hand tightened around her wine glass, her eyes flashing with a dangerous light. Drunken dream grass, a secret southern poison. Isabel's smile vanished. She stared at the soup, murder in her eyes. Who would dare? Who was the target? The Empress? Or her? I was still oblivious, my chopsticks hovering over the bowl. There's no way I can let them eat this. This would be a disaster. I have to do something. Catherine didn't hesitate. Stop. Her cool voice cut through the noise of the banquet like a shard of ice. Every conversation stopped. The ministers froze, their glasses halfway to their lips. My chopsticks hovered over the bowl, my expression baffled. Catherine stood, her black gown shimmering. Her gaze sliced across the head of the imperial kitchen, the servants, and finally rested on the innocent-looking bowl of soup. This soup, her voice was bone-chillingly cold. Who made it? Who handled it? Bring them all to me. Seal the kitchens. No one moves. Take every person who touched the imperial meals today into custody for interrogation. The orders fell like hail, filled with a terrifying, murderous rage. A wave of fear washed over the garden. The music stopped. The ministers, moments ago cheerful, were now pale and dropping to their knees. The royal guard swarmed in, dragging away screaming and pleading kitchen staff. Isabel was on her feet too, her hand on the hilt of the sword at her waist, her eyes scanning the crowd. Only I remained frozen, chopsticks in hand, staring at the sudden chaos. What's happening? I just said the soup smelled weird. Why is the Empress reacting like this? Wait, did she smell it too? Catherine's icy gaze flickered to me. She didn't speak, but her eyes screamed. Idiot! Put it down. I yelped internally and dropped the chopsticks like they were red-hot coals, shrinking back behind her, my heart hammering against my ribs. Oh my God, it really was poison. The Empress is a genius. How did she know? I'm going to have a heart attack. This palace is too dangerous. I want to go back to the exile wing and eat my moldy bread. Listening to my terrified internal monologue, Catherine stood tall amidst the panic. With her back to the crowd, she turned her head slightly, and in a voice so low only I could hear, she said, "Well done." I snapped my head up, staring in disbelief at her commanding, unyielding back. Did the Empress just praise me? She said I did a good job. A strange warmth, mixed with the relief of surviving, flooded me, washing away the fear. My nose started to tingle. The whole thing was terrifying, but I felt seen. I sniffed and stood up a little straighter behind her. Looking at the Empress, who seemed to carry the entire night sky on her shoulders, I felt something new. Maybe being by her side wasn't so bad after all. We'd spill the tea together. And when trouble came, yeah, I'd probably still be the one in the line of fire. I shook my head, one crisis at a time. First, I had to survive the night. The poisoning attempt shook the court. With Empress Catherine's ruthless efficiency, the plot was unraveled quickly. A bitter, overlooked consort had conspired with spies from the southern jungles. Their goal was to cause chaos. The intended target was unclear, but it didn't matter. The consort was sent to the exile wing and given a silk rope. The spies were executed. Hundreds were implicated. For a time, a cloud of fear hung over the palace. My life, however, changed. I was still the personal attendant, but now the palace staff looked at me with a new kind of respect, even fear. The head steward, a stuffy old man named Ford, even started speaking to me politely. TSK, old Ford called me clever again today. He has no idea I know about the vintage wine he has stashed behind the flour sacks in the main kitchen. I thought, grinding ink for the Empress. Catherine's pen paused. Without looking up, she said forward. Yes, Your Majesty, the steward bowed. Go to the kitchen. That bottle of 3-year-old vintage you have hidden, dig it out. For it looked like he'd been struck by lightning. His face went white, and he dropped his knees with a thud. Your Majesty, I. Dig it out, Catherine continued in the same flat tone, and send it to Princess Isabel. Yes, as you command. Ford, dripping with sweat, scrambled out of the room. As he passed me, he shot me a look of pure, unadulterated terror, as if he'd just seen a ghost. I froze. Holy crap, how did the Empress know? Don't tell me. My thoughts are getting out. No way. She can't actually hear them, can she? My hand trembled, nearly dropping the ink stick. Catherine still didn't look up. A ghost of a smile played on her lips. The ink is getting faint. Oh, my apologies. I quickly focused on my task, my mind racing. System, my friend, my dear old dad. Please, I'm begging you. Turn off the broadcast. If this keeps up, I'm not going to live to see the new year. The system remained dead silent. I wanted to cry. I was a walking, talking bug, and I didn't even have a mute button. That day, Princess Isabel showed up again. She lounged on a sofa, eating chilled grapes, her eyes scanning me up and down like I was some kind of science experiment. Your Highness, please stop staring. I'm not going to sprout a second head. I pleaded internally. Isabel laughed, spitting out a grape seed. Hey you, attendant. I jumped. Yes, Your Highness. I have a question for you, she said, sitting up and leaning closer, her voice a conspiratorial whisper. Are you a mind reader? Boom! A bomb went off in my head. Cold sweat poured down my back. It's over. She knows. A mind reader? I wish. It's a thoughts broadcast, Your Highness. System, you've killed me. My face went pale. Your Highness jests. I have no such power. No, she raised an eyebrow, clearly unconvinced. Then how did you know about General Vance's wife? How did you know my mother was faking sick? How did you know the soup was poisoned? With every question, she leaned closer. I stumbled backward until my back hit a cold pillar. There was nowhere left to run. I guessed. Yes, I just guessed. I got lucky. My mind was in full-blown panic mode. Guessed. Lucky. Isabel scoffed. She reached out and grabbed my chin, forcing me to look at her. Then guess this, she purred, a dangerous smile on her lips. What am I thinking of doing to you? Right now? Tearing me limb from limb? Strangling me? Feeding me to the koi fish in the garden pond? My mind flashed with a montage of gruesome possibilities. Tears started to well up in my eyes. I am a fool. I cannot guess. My voice trembled. Isabel looked at my terrified, pale face and teary eyes and suddenly found it hilarious. She let go and fell back onto the sofa, laughing. Look at you. I'm just messing with you. I was speechless. Messing with me? Your Highness, your jokes are going to give someone a heart attack. Isabel, still enjoying her grapes, seemed to be in a great mood. But, she said, her eyes glinting mischievously, I do like this guessing talent of yours. You should come by my wing and do some more guessing from time to time. I'll reward you handsomely. My vision went dark. Not again. Empress, save me. The princess is addicted to my tea. She's giving me a royal command. Catherine, who had been writing, finally looked up. She shot her unruly sister a cold glance. Isabel, her voice was quiet but carried the weight of her authority. The solar wing is not your playground. If you want to play, go back to your own wing. Isabel pouted, gave me a look that said, this isn't over, and flounced out of the room. I let out a long breath. I just walked back from the edge of a cliff. I snuck a glance at the desk. Catherine was already back to her work, the picture of cool concentration. The Empress is the best. She's a little scary, but she's safe. My thoughts were full of post-crisis relief and a hint of attachment. The pen in Catherine's hand paused. The red ink bloomed on the page, a spot of soft, warm color. Life fell into a strange rhythm of terror and forced gossip-mongering. I was getting used to it. The thought broadcast was a ticking time bomb, but Empress Catherine seemed to have accepted it, even enabled it. As long as I didn't cross a line and say things to her face, she mostly pretended not to hear. Princess Isabel still came by to harass me, bringing gifts and then lounging around, waiting for my inner monologue to provide the day's entertainment. As for the Dowager Empress, I avoided her like the plague. Can't win that fight. Better to run and hide. But one day, a sternly worded summons invited me to the Serenity Wing. My knees went weak. This is it. The final reckoning. Your Majesty, please, I'm begging you, have mercy. The Dowager's chambers still smelled of medicine. She was reclining on her bed, looking as sick as ever. But her eyes were sharp, fixed on me like a predator eyeing its prey. Little monster, come here, she said lazily. I shuffled forward. This servant greets the Dowager Empress. Yes, enough of that, she waved a dismissive hand. I have a question for you. Your Majesty, please ask. This servant will. I heard. She cut me off, leaning forward, her voice low and filled with barely suppressed excitement. That new little maid in Lady Rose's chambers. And the deputy commander of the guard. She waggled her eyebrows suggestively. I froze. Holy crap. You too, Your Majesty? The thirst for gossip in this palace is a raging inferno. The passive gossip skill activated instantly. The T says someone was definitely sneaking around Lady Rose's Westgate last night. But it wasn't the deputy commander. It was Old Man Hemlock, the head of the royal stables. The Dowager's eyes went wide. Hemlock, that old fossil from the stables. Her voice shot up, filled with incredulous excitement. But he hasn't been, functional in years. The T says he recently got his hands on a special herbal remedy. He's had a resurgence. I added internally. Bwahahaha. Oh my God. The Dowager slapped the bed, erupting in a fit of wild laughter. Tears streamed down her face. A resurgence? Him. Ha ha ha. Oh, my stomach. I think I pulled something. She laughed for a solid minute, finally stopping to catch her breath. She wiped a tear from her eye and looked at me. Her expression completely changed. The hatred was gone, replaced by the covetous look of someone who had just discovered a priceless treasure. Ahem. She cleared her throat, tried to regain her composure. Little monster, you. Here it comes. The punishment, my mind screamed. From now on, she said, her tone a little awkward, you are to visit the Serenity Wing once a day. 2. Tell me the news around the palace. I blinked. Tell you the news? You mean feed you the tea? What? Unwilling. The Dowager glared. Willing. I am willing. Thank you, Your Majesty. I kowtowed, my mind screaming in protest. Like I have a choice. This is insane. The women of this imperial family, from the Dowager to the princess, they're all the same. What do they think I am? A human gossip column? The Dowager listened to my inner rant, smugly sipping her tea. Yes, she thought. This little monster is rude, but he's damn entertaining. That evening, in the solar wing, Empress Catherine finished the last of her documents. She rubbed her temples. I stood by, trying to be a silent, inanimate object. I'm so tired. When we get a clock out? I think the kitchen is making glazed pork knuckle tonight. Wonder if I can sneak some. Catherine put down her pen. Her cool gaze fell on me. Now, yes, Your Majesty. The Dowager summoned you today. Why? My heart skipped a beat. Busted. The Empress is calling me to account. I stammered. Your Majesty, the Dowager Empress. She asked me to come to the Serenity Wing every day. To tell her some amusing stories. Amusing stories? Catherine raised an eyebrow. She wants me to be her personal gossip machine. She's addicted to my thoughts, my inner voice whined. Catherine looked at my pathetic, slumped posture. She was silent for a moment, then said, I approve. I looked up, sure I had misheard. However, Catherine stood, her black gown flowing around her. You are to be back in the solar wing for your duties before the evening bell. She walked over to me, her cool, clean scent surrounding me. I swallowed hard. What's she doing? Catherine leaned in close, her lips near my ear. In a low voice that was for my ears only, laced with a hint of amusement and absolute command, she whispered, I haven't heard my amusing stories yet. The warm breath tickled my ear. My entire body went rigid. My mind went completely blank. All I could hear was the frantic pounding of my own heart. The Empress. She, My inner voice short-circuited. Catherine straightened up, a flicker of a triumphant smile on her lips as she looked at my beet-red face and dazed expression. It was there and gone in an instant. She turned and walked toward her private chambers. "You are dismissed," her voice floated back. "The glazed pork knuckle is yours." I stood there, frozen, long after she had disappeared behind the beaded curtain. Finally, I came back to my senses. I touched my still-burning ear. "Holy crap, holy crap, holy crap," my mind shrieked. Did the Empress just flirt with me? System, is this the end? The exile wing? I was never going back. This old damn palace had become my personal drama farm, and the three most powerful women in the nation were all lined up, waiting for me, the sole farmer, to serve them the freshest, juiciest thoughts. I touched my ear again and sighed in resignation. Fine, a drama farm it is. At least, the glazed pork knuckle was delicious. Just as the dust was settling from the poisoning plot, an envoy from the southern jungles arrived. Officially, they were here to offer tribute and apologize. The leader was the third prince, a man named Mondan with ambition burning in his eyes. "The humble southern jungles greet the glorious empire," Mondan said with a fake smile. Catherine sat on her throne, impassive. "You have come a long way, Prince." Standing by her side, alarm bells were screaming in my head. Apologize? Yeah, right. This is a wolf apologizing to a sheep. The T says this guy and his father, the old southern king, are on very bad terms. Catherine's hand, holding her teacup, didn't move. "We have received your gesture of sincerity." Mondan's smile never wavered. "I have brought a southern treasure, the seven-orifice bell, as a token of my sincerity." A servant presented a beautiful, shimmering jade bell. My eyes glanced over it, and the gossip system went into overdrive. "Whoa, that thing is a listening device. The T says there's a microarray carved into the base using southern magic. It can transmit sound for 100 miles. The snake, he's trying to spy on the Empress." The thought hit Catherine like a physical blow. Her eyes went cold as ice. She didn't look at the bell. She looked at Mondan. "A thoughtful gift, Prince," she said, her voice unreadable. "We accept this treasure." Then her tone dropped 10 degrees. "Forward, seize them." The guards swarmed forward. Mondan's face twisted. "Your Majesty, what is the meaning of this?" "Seize them," Catherine repeated. A murderous glint appeared in Mondan's eye. A flash of steel appeared from his sleeve as he lunged for the throne. "Protect the Empress," someone shrieked. My mind went blank. My body moved before I could think. I threw myself in front of Catherine. "Your Majesty, look out!" My mind screamed in terror. Shink! The sound of a blade sinking into flesh. A grunt escaped my lips. I'd taken a blow for her. A searing pain erupted in my shoulder, and blood bloomed across my uniform. "Now!" Catherine's cool voice cracked for the first time. She drew the long, ceremonial sword from beside her throne. With a flash of silver, she parried Mondan's second strike. Princess Isabel moved like a blur of red lightning. "You dare harm my sister?" D. Her own sword became a whip of deadly steel, wrapping around Mondan. The hall erupted into chaos. As the guards closed in, Mondan, realizing he had failed, threw several small pellets to the ground. Bang! Thick smoke filled the room. After them, Catherine's voice was arctic. She caught me as I stumbled, her eyes a storm of fury as she looked at my pale face and bleeding shoulder. "Get the physician. Now!" When I woke up, I was lying in a ridiculously soft bed. The air smelled of sandalwood. I was confused. I'm alive? Is this the Empress's bedroom? I slept in the Empress's bed. It's over. My entire family line is going to be executed. "Be quiet," a cool voice commanded. Catherine was sitting by the bed, still in her black imperial gown, a trace of exhaustion in her eyes. Your Majesty." I tried to sit up. "Stay down," she said, placing a firm hand on my uninjured shoulder. "You saved me. It was my duty." I stammered. Honestly, I was so scared I just reacted. My body moved on its own. A tiny, almost imperceptible smile touched her lips. "The southern spies have been dealt with. Mondan escaped, badly injured, but our armies are already marching on the border." I listened, my heart pounding. "We're at war?" "The T says the old southern king is on his deathbed." Mondan wants the throne. This assassination attempt was his own idea, to provoke a war so he could seize power in the chaos. Catherine's eyes flashed. His own idea? To seize power? I was just guessing. I backpedaled frantically. I did it again. My big mouth. She didn't press the issue. Rest. Heal. She stood up. From now on, you will reside in the adjoining chamber. I froze. The adjoining chamber? Right next to her bedroom. That's even more terrifying than sleeping in her bed. Catherine paused at the door. Your guesses are very good. And with that, she was gone. I lay in her bed, the faint scent of her perfume lingering in the air, my mind a total mess. The Empress praised me, and she's letting me live next door? Is this a promotion? Suddenly, the throbbing in my shoulder didn't seem so bad. I became a permanent resident of the solar wing. My quality of life skyrocketed. Isabel was the first to visit. Well, little attendant, you're tougher than you look, she said, clapping me on the shoulder. Ow, that hurts. Good. It means you're alive, she huffed. Don't be so stupid next time. I was there. She dropped a pile of expensive herbs on the table. Now get better soon. I'm getting bored without my news updates. Is this a get-well visit or a content creator pressuring me for the next video? Isabel heard it. Her eyes narrowed. You got a problem with that? No, not at all, I said quickly. She nodded, satisfied, then leaned in conspiratorially. Hey, you and my sister. Is there something going on? She waggled her eyebrows. My scalp prickled. What? Me and the Empress? Your Highness, please don't play matchmaker. You'll get me killed. Isabel saw my terrified expression and burst out laughing. Relax. I'm just messing with you. She stood up. But if I do find out something's going on, she let the threat hang in the air. I'll skin you alive. With that, she breezed out. I was speechless. Princess, your jealousy is completely unfounded. What could I possibly do? The curtain at the doorway moved. Catherine was standing there, holding a bowl of medicine. Time for your medicine. Yes. Thank you, Your Majesty. The Empress is bringing me my medicine personally. I am flattered and terrified. She watched me drink it. Isabel's words, she said suddenly. Pay them no mind. I blinked. She heard. Catherine didn't elaborate. Rest, she said and left. I held the empty bowl, my mind a whirl. What did the Empress mean by that? Once I had healed, my duties as the palace gossip farmer resumed. Mornings in the solar wing, afternoons reporting to the Serenity wing. The Dowager Empress munched on sunflower seeds, her eyes gleaming. Oh, Lady White and Lady Green got into a fistfight over a chrysanthemum? Pathetic. And Lady Violet is stabbing a voodoo doll of the head concubine? Idiot. If that worked, what would be the point of having an Empress? Your Majesty, you're the real final boss of palace intrigue, aren't you? The Dowager heard and preened. Of course. The amount of salt I've eaten. Ahem. She caught herself. Little monster. She changed the subject. What do you think of the Empress? I was immediately on guard. The Empress? She's a brilliant, terrifying ice queen. Is the Dowager trying to trap me? The Dowager rolled her eyes. Not that. I mean, she lowered her voice. She's not getting any younger. And she doesn't have anyone to keep her warm at night. Don't you think she should? She rubbed her fingers together. She meant finding an imperial consort. A husband. I nearly choked. Find a husband for the Empress. Are you serious? What man would be brave enough to marry her? He'd freeze to death. Cough, cough. The Dowager choked on a sunflower seed. You little brat, she gasped. What's wrong with the Empress? That's not what I meant. I did it again. The Dowager recovered, a sly, fox-like grin spreading across her face. Little monster, I think you're pretty brave, aren't you? Daring to talk about the Empress like that. She leaned in, her voice tempting. How about I play matchmaker? How about I arrange for you to be married to the Empress? Boom, my brain exploded. Married to the Empress? As her consort? Your Majesty, have you lost your mind? I'm an attendant, a servant. The Dowager saw my soul leave my body and slapped her thigh, roaring with laughter. Ha ha ha, look at your face. I'm just messing with you. I was speechless. Is messing with Leo the official pastime of this family? I can't take it anymore. I quit. But, the Dowager said, wiping a tear from her eye. That Empress of ours. She treats you differently, very differently. She left me with that cryptic comment, humming a little tune. I stood there petrified. Differently? How? How differently? The Empress. She wouldn't actually. I couldn't finish the thought. My face was burning. The war in the South dragged on. Mondan was a cornered rat, fighting viciously. Catherine worked tirelessly, dark circles appearing under her eyes. I felt a pang of sympathy. Being the ruler is exhausting. She looked so tired. Catherine's hand paused over a document. That night, I couldn't sleep. System. Where are you? Why did you glitch? Can this stupid thought broadcast be turned off? BZZZ. Core. Interference. Source. Confirmed. Imperial. Dragon. National artifact. Resonance. Malfunction. Irreversible. I stared into the darkness. Dragon. National artifact? What the hell is that? BZZ. Database. Corrupted. Host soul. Compatible with previous dynasty. Su. Imperial. Bloodline. Remnant. The voice cut out. It was gone. I sat there, frozen. Previous dynasty. Imperial bloodline remnant. Remnant of what? A survivor? Me, Leo Foster, a descendant of the old imperial family that was overthrown 100 years ago. You have got to be kidding me. My mind was reeling. No wonder the system glitched. It was conflicting with this era's source of power. And that's why only the imperial family could hear me if anyone found out. A shiver ran down my spine. I'm dead. Absolutely, positively dead. If the Empress finds out, she'll have me executed on the spot. I pulled the covers over my head and trembled for the rest of the night. I was a nervous wreck. What do I do? Is it true? The old dynasty is ancient history. What does it have to do with me? Catherine noticed immediately. Something is wrong, she stated, not asked. And nothing. Your Majesty. Stay calm. Don't freak out. Her eyes are like daggers. She summoned the head of her intelligence agency. The remnants of the old dynasty have been active recently. Find them. Leave no one. I felt the blood drain from my face. Remnants. Is she talking about me? I haven't been active. I've been serving tea and spilling it. The agent left. We were alone. The silence was suffocating. This is it. She's cleaning house. Should I run? Can I even get away? Now. I jumped. Yes, Your Majesty. She walked over to me. Are you afraid of me? And no, I am in awe of Your Majesty's power. Yes. Terrified. I'm terrified you know I'm the guy you just ordered to be hunted down and killed. She was silent for a moment. Then she reached out and lifted my chin, forcing me to meet her gaze. Her eyes were deep, unreadable pools. No matter who you are, she said, her voice soft but heavy, I have allowed you to stay. My pupils shrank. My mind went blank. She knows. When did she find out? Why hasn't she killed me? She let go. You may leave. I'm tired. I stumbled out of the room into the bright sunlight and felt nothing but cold. What did she mean? Allow me to stay? To stay as her gossip machine? Or as something else? I was a mess. The secret of my identity, the Empress's strange behavior. It was all too much. One afternoon, Catherine was resting in a garden pavilion. I stood by her side. She's frowning even in her sleep. Must be worrying about the war. A petal fell from a nearby cherry blossom tree and landed in her dark hair. Without thinking, I reached out to brush it away. My fingers froze just an inch from her hair. What am I doing? Am I trying to get myself killed? I snatched my hand back. Catherine's eyes slowly opened. They were clear. She hadn't been asleep at all. She looked at my panicked expression, then at my frozen hand. What were you doing? And nothing. Forgive me. I dropped to my knees. A petal. I just wanted to get the petal. She reached up and plucked the petal from her own hair, holding it between her fingers. Get up. I rose, my heart pounding. Leo, she said, toying with the petal, if I could grant you a future, what would you want? I was completely lost. A future? What's she talking about? What future can I have? Wait, she's not seriously considering what her mother said, is she? I only wish to serve Your Majesty. I said lamely, survival. I just want to survive. She looked at me for a long time, then sighed. It was a soft sound, filled with a melancholy I had never heard from her before. She opened her hand, and the wind carried the petal away. Never mind, she said, standing up. We're returning to the palace. For the first time, her retreating figure looked lonely. Word came from the front. Victory. Mondan was cornered, but refused to surrender. Catherine made a decision that shocked the court. She would lead the final assault herself. Your Majesty, you cannot. The ministers pleaded. My mind is made up. We leave in 3 days. I stood in the corner, my heart in my throat. Lead the army herself. That's too dangerous. Mondan is a madman. What if? Isabel was the first to volunteer. Sister, I'm going with you. Don't be ridiculous. Catherine snapped. You will remain here and govern. Mother needs you. On the night before she left, I helped her pack. I wish I could go. But what good would I be? I just get in the way. Your Majesty, please be safe. Catherine stood by the window. Now, while I am gone, protect the palace. Wait for my return. My eyes stung. Yes, I will await your return. The next morning, I watched from the palace walls as her army disappeared over the horizon. My heart fell hollow. Empress, come back soon. With Catherine gone, the city was a pot of simmering water. Isabel ruled with an iron fist, but shadows were moving. One day, I went to my daily briefing at the Serenity Wing. The moment I entered, I knew something was wrong. The Dowager Empress was slumped on her bed, pale and gasping for air. Your Majesty, my medicine, she rasped. A maid was sobbing. Her heart pills. They're gone. The physician said she can't be without them. My blood ran cold. Heart pills? The ones for her fake illness? No, wait. The T says she has a real heart condition from her youth. Someone stole her medicine. Who? The system dumped a mountain of data into my head. It was the head concubine. Her father was a supporter of the old dynasty. They're planning a rebellion in the capital to coincide with the war in the south. Stealing the medicine was meant to kill the dowager and cause chaos. The head concubine. I blurted out. The dowager and the maid stared at me. Quick, tell Princess Isabel. The head concubine is trying to kill the dowager and start a rebellion. The maid ran. The dowager looked at me, her expression unreadable. Your Majesty, just hang on. I said, the formula for the pills. The T says I know it. The ingredients are in the palace pharmacy. I'll make the medicine. I yelled, sprinting out of the room. The Empress isn't here. The dowager can't die. The capital can't fall. I ran faster than I ever had in my life. I burst into the pharmacy, frantically grabbing herbs. Outside, I could hear the sounds of fighting. The rebellion had begun. I finally managed to press a crude pill together and ran back out into the chaos. Isabel was a whirlwind of red, her sword a blur, cutting down rebels. Protect the dowager, she roared. I dodged and weaved through the fighting. A rebel soldier spotted me and swung his sword. I rolled, barely avoiding the blade. Isabel's sword lashed out like a whip, and the soldier fell. I scrambled into the Serenity Wing. The medicine. I shoved the pill into the dowager's mouth. She swallowed, and after a moment, her breathing evened out. Little monster, she whispered. You saved me. I collapsed on the floor, my body shaking. Isabel burst in, covered in blood. Seeing her mother was safe, she let out a breath of relief. She looked at me, and for the first time, her eyes held something like admiration. Well done, attendant. The rebellion was crushed. The news reached the front lines, and the army's morale soared. Mondan, his last hope gone, took his own life. The South surrendered. Empress Catherine returned a hero. I knelt to greet her in the solar wing, my voice thick with emotion. She's back. The Empress is back. Thank God. Catherine paused, looking down at me. Rise. She walked over. In my absence, you did very well. My heart warmed. It was my duty. She looked at me, her gaze intense. Tonight, come to my chambers. I have questions for you. My heart sank. This is it, the moment of truth. That night, in her private chambers, she got straight to the point. Your identity? Tell me. I took a deep breath and let it all out. My real name, Leo of the House of Sullivan. The great-grandson of the last emperor of the old dynasty. The system. The glitch. Everything. I finished and bowed my head, waiting for the sentence. Silence. Then, her voice tinged with exhaustion. The old dynasty has been gone for 100 years. Leo Sullivan. Would you be content to just be Leo Foster? I looked up stunned. I have allowed you to stay, she said. I allowed you to stay then. I allow you to stay now, and I will allow you to stay in the future. She looked at me, a softness in her eyes I had never seen. As long as your heart belongs to this empire, as long as it belongs to me, tears welled in my eyes. I, Leo Foster, I declared, my voice shaking, I pledge my life and loyalty only to you, your majesty. I pressed my forehead to the floor. Empress, I thought, my voice cracking with emotion. Thank you. She came over and personally pulled me to my feet. Rise, and from now on, you will no longer refer to yourself as a servant. I froze. Not a servant? Then, what? She turned and walked away. Think of something, she said, disappearing behind a curtain. I stood there, my heart hammering against my ribs. Not a servant. Does she mean? My face was burning again. I was no longer a servant. I was this special advisor of the Solar Wing. No rank, no official title, but everyone knew. I was the Empress's man. Isabel was the first to complain. Sister, you're playing favorites. Why does it get to be special? I want a special advisor. Catherine didn't even look up. You? Pay for the antique vase you broke last month, then we'll talk. Isabel stormed out. The Dowager tried next. Leo, dear, the Serenity Wing is also in need of an advisor. An advisor on what, Your Majesty? Gossip. Mother, Catherine said, putting down her pen. It's time for your heart medication. The Dowager left in a hurry. Finally, peace. Come here, Catherine said to me. Help me with this report. I looked at the dense official document. My head swam. I don't understand any of this, Your Majesty. Where? She asked patiently. I pointed. She leaned in close, her cool scent washing over me, and began to explain. I wasn't listening. I was just looking at her face, so close to mine. The Empress is so beautiful. Her voice faltered for a fraction of a second. A faint blush crept up her neck. And so life went on. The palace was still a place of deadly politics and ancient tradition. But now it was also filled with stifled laughter, furious sputtering, and the constant, unfiltered, and often ridiculous inner thoughts of a certain special advisor. And on the throne, the Empress, for all her icy composure, could no longer hide the smile in her eyes. End.